Rachel Janfaza is a consultant on youth civic engagement. She interviewed young voters across the country and is here with these interesting results. Rachel, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me. Happy Election Day.
Happy Election Day. So let's talk about what is pushing Gen Z to vote and what's keeping them from voting.
Right. So it's important to remember Gen Z is not a monolith. There are 41 million eligible Gen Zers who can vote today, and they are the most diverse generation in American history. So they have a myriad of different perspectives, and there are a number of issues that are important to them. I was at the polls in Philadelphia this morning, which is where I am today, and nearly every young woman who I spoke to there mentioned abortion access or women's rights, which is something that tracks in polls of young women in particular. But overall, across the country, the top issues for young people really are the economy, women's rights, and healthcare. And this is what I've been hearing in conversations with them over the past many weeks and months.
Can you talk about, I found it so interesting how we've evolved when it comes to social media, right? I remember when Barack Obama ran and it was like crazy that the campaign may put something out on this thing called Facebook. And now you've got TikTok, you have a presidential candidate who has their own social media platform. How is that playing into the election today?
So I think over the summer, definitely when Vice President Kamala Harris took over at the top of the ticket, you saw the Kamala HQ account affiliated with her campaign just pop off. And there were young people, Gen Zers, actually running that account. And they were able to hop on trends and techniques that they saw resonating with their peers. And I think that was really successful.
Like Brad Summer? Who stopped talking about Brad Summer?
So you've also seen former President Trump capitalizing on social media too, doing sit-down interviews with influencers and creators, more trying to appeal to younger men in particular. This is a really unprecedented election cycle for that reason, because these two candidates have really sought to reach young people through the people who are closest to them, talking to them, who they are constantly scrolling through their phones and listening to. And when I ask young voters, how are you getting your news and information about the election? Social media really is the #1 answer. But I will say they often caveat that by saying, I'll see something on social media and then I'll go and check it with traditional media. So I think there are a number of ways young people are getting their news and information.
Well, checking is a plus. You found that Gen Z is skeptical of the system and has a distrust in the Electoral College. What did they tell you about this? This is something that we kind of saw with Trump voters in the last 2 elections. So it's interesting that this is now coming down to the younger demo.
It's definitely top of mind for young people. So along with MTV, we did research on community college campuses in particular, and we heard skepticism around the Electoral College, even in battleground states. So even in states like Michigan, students there were concerned with the Electoral College, despite the fact that they are in a state that very well could be decisive in who wins this election. I think overwhelmingly, young people are disaffected, but not disillusioned. So they see these systems at play. There's a lot of talk. I know in the preview to our interview, you showed someone saying that it feels like it's sort of a lesser of two evils. That's something that comes up a lot. And there is a distrust in the system, but a deep passion about issues that matter most to young people. And I think that is what is pushing them over the edge and getting them out to the ballot box today.
I feel like that seems like a normal young person thing, right? Kind of pushing back against the system a little bit. Was there a significant discrepancy in voter turnout between 2-year college and 4-year university students that you found?
So research from 2020 showed that there was nearly a 10-point percentage gap where students at community colleges were voting at nearly 10 points lower rates than students at 4-year universities. And so that is part of why we did this research, to better understand what really is motivating young people on these campuses. One of the things that stood out in the research is that we heard from some organizers on college campuses, so students who are mobilizing their peers and their friends to register to vote and to vote, who actually didn't vote themselves or were not planning to vote themselves. And when I asked, why is that? A large part of it was this idea of sort of analysis paralysis, which is that when we talk about the stakes of this election, there's a pressure that can be put on people to make the right choice. And what I heard from some students in particular was that they didn't want to make the wrong decision, and so they decided not to vote at all.
Really interesting. Yeah. Rachel, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.